See. All right, there it is. Hey, everybody. I was on a Zoom call while it was broadcasting, so I'm hoping there wasn't a bleed over of audio. Probably not. We were talking about archive stuff. Anyhow, I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime streaming show, where we watch old 16mm films. That last film that we saw was part of this giant Coronet project, where we're scanning a bunch of Coronet films. And what that means is sometimes we get a film that doesn't have a soundtrack, and this is called MOS, which some people said, well, you know, it stands for without sound, or missing optical soundtrack, or any number of things. Basically, it's silent. So this is a print that didn't have an optical soundtrack to it, and the idea is that Coronet would create different language soundtracks, so they could market this film in different countries. And so somewhere there exists a, German, French, Arabic soundtrack for this Fruit Flies film. So it's kind of interesting. All right, we're going to get started. This is photographic slides for instruction. Enjoy.
Slides are useful instructional materials. In black and white or color, they are easy to make and easy to use in the classroom. Slides can be made of student activities, microscopic objects, pictorial material found in magazines or books, scenic or historic spots, and local points of interest. Let's see how a teacher made this slide of a spillway to help her visualize a unit on the community's water supply. For outdoor colored pictures, a daylight type film is used. With each box, there is a guide that shows the correct exposure settings for almost any conditions. The shutter speed and lens opening are read directly from the guide. Distance is the only other setting to be made. The teacher could estimate the distance or use a tape measure, but her camera has a rangefinder to make focusing easier. When adjusting the rangefinder control, this is what she sees. One of the two images moves. When it coincides with the other, the lens is properly focused. Then she is ready to make an exposure. The local photo shop will handle processing of this film. Later on in the classroom, one of the children projects the slides as the teacher discusses them with the class. Pictures like this can be taken in normal room light by using fast films. Here, a social studies teacher is making a picture in a printing plant. He is using a type of film that gives a finished positive transparency in about 3 minutes. After an exposure is made, the tab is pulled and the film is allowed to develop in the camera. In about 2 minutes, he can remove the transparency. It is complete except for hardening the emulsion, which is accomplished by dipping the transparency in a chemical hardening solution. This film has two advantages. Pictures can be taken in normal room light, and processing is rapid. In less than 3 minutes, a transparency can be made that is ready to mount and show in the classroom. A plastic mount like this is practical because it is unbreakable, and the special shape eliminates the possibility of projecting the picture upside down. Other pictures in black and white or color can be taken indoors by using flash bulbs or electronic flash for lighting. Color pictures of class activities make an effective report to the parents. For this, you can use a 35mm camera with an inexpensive flash attachment. A plastic cover over the reflector serves as a protection in case the bulb should break. To find the camera settings, select the guide number for the film and bulb you are using. At 1/50th of a second, the guide number is 110. To find the proper lens setting, divide the guide number by the distance in feet. For a distance of 10 feet, the result would be 11. So the lens opening is set on 11. Then line up the subject in the viewfinder and snap the picture. Another slide for your collection. A pictorial record of class activities is a good way to show pupils' accomplishments. With flash photography, you can also make records of bulletin boards or of class projects. A very important source of material for slides is the never-ending supply of maps, pictures, and graphs in books and magazines. These pictorial materials, colorful, readily available, and interesting, can inexpensively be converted into useful slides for teaching. Let's see how a copy is made of this magazine illustration. You will need to add an inexpensive close-up attachment to your camera for this type of copy work. Make the camera settings according to the directions that come with the copying equipment. A supplementary lens over the regular lens acts as a simple magnifying glass and permits you to make a close-up of the subject. You can make copies quickly and conveniently with this equipment. However, the size of the pictorial material you can copy will be limited. With a rigid copy stand and a more versatile camera, you can make adjustments for copying originals of any size. 2 reflector flood lamps can be used for illumination. Be sure to use an indoor-type color film. Careful focusing assures sharp pictures. An exposure meter, used as recommended for copying, will help you get consistently good exposures. You can also use a photo data guide to give you the proper exposure settings. Similar guides will help you determine the correct lens setting when making extreme close-ups. By using your equipment properly and by following instructions carefully, you can make good slides. If you need a transparency in a hurry, copies can be made in a matter of minutes by using the process that makes a positive transparency in the camera. Daylight is an excellent light source for copying. If you are making colored copies, be sure to use daylight-type film. A tripod is a steady support for the camera while you make the exposure. To protect slides that are used frequently, bind them between 2 pieces of glass. A slide binding tape holds the glass, picture, and mask together. You can also use various types of commercial mounts that are available from your photo dealer. Often you can add interest to a slide presentation by making a tape-recorded narration to accompany the showing. Good photographic techniques, proper exposure, sharp focus, and interesting camera angles will make your slides more effective. Notice particularly in these pictures of a leather craft project the use of close-ups to emphasize details. A good presentation of your slides is important. Be sure the room is adequately darkened, the projector properly focused, and the slides changed smoothly. There are many kinds of good projectors you could use. Once you start a collection of slides for instructional purposes, you will discover new and varied uses for your camera. Whether you use your camera to make pictures through a microscope, or take a picture of a flower, or make copies outdoors, you will enjoy making and using slides. Every subject matter area offers a wide range of possibilities, and you will find many uses for them in your classroom work.
Yeah. So when I was in School of Design at NC State, we had to take slides of our work, and we had to take slides when we were doing presentations about designers or artists. So I'd go to the design library, check out some books, and then basically I had a copy stand and would use slide film and then get it processed at the local photo lab. And that was just how you did it. This is before PowerPoint. This is before a lot of technologies, and so it was being done into the 80s and 90s. And then scanners started happening, and then you started having this presentation software. Oh, my ravioli's done. So while I eat it, let's watch this film that I have on the telecine behind me, which it's called Stand Up and Paint. And I'm not sure if this is like paint like artistically or paint like a room. I'm not sure. Let's see. Enjoy.
Stand up and paint is a simple, quick method of painting. The first step in painting a living room is to move the furniture to the center of the room. Then cover it with a plastic sheet. The corners of the sheet should be tied together with a clothespin so the sheet will not slip off. The piano is covered by a separate plastic sheet because it is difficult to move. The next step is to cover the floor areas between the walls and the furniture. In this case, an old drape was used as a drop cloth. Then remove the socket plates and put the screws back so that you will not lose them. Next, remove the switch plates and again put the screws back. Then fill all the holes with spackle using a putty knife. Paint the ceiling first using a 3/4 inch roller cover. Jam the roller against the walls as you go down the ceiling. This will put paint in the corners. The 3/4 inch roller cover holds a considerable amount of paint and makes it unnecessary to dip the roller as many times. In this sequence, the center of the room over the furniture is easily painted using a roller with a long handle. After painting the ceiling, paint one wall at a time, jamming the roller against the ceiling so that you will not have to use a ladder to paint any unpainted area. Jam and skid the roller at the top of the wall. This will fill all areas with paint. Difficult areas, such as this behind the piano, are easy to paint. The use of the handle on the roller also makes areas that are difficult to reach, such as this, easy to paint. Large surfaces may be painted with one roller full of paint using this cover. Walls next to fireplaces are easily trimmed with a large brush, bending the brush at an angle. The edges of all door frames and window frames are painted with a latex paint. After painting the edge, wipe the surplus paint from the face of the frame. The frame will be painted with semi-gloss enamel. Doors should be sanded before they are painted. Sand quickly as demonstrated. A quick, easy way to paint a door and a door frame is to apply the paint again using a 1/2 inch lamb's wool roller cover. Then lay the paint out with an up and down stroke. This will give a beautiful brush finish to the doors. In laying out the bottom half of the door, lift the brush off as you get into the brushed paint so brush marks will not show. Door frames are easily painted if the paint is again applied with a roller followed with a simple brush out. The walls and ceiling in this room should be painted with latex. The doors, door frames, and window frames with semi-gloss enamel. When painting baseboards in which the room has wall-to-wall carpeting, jam a broad knife between the carpet and the baseboard and then apply the paint with a small brush. Continually remove the surplus paint from the broad knife to keep it off the carpet. Then again pry the carpet back and paint the baseboard. Windows are trimmed by painting each corner first and then painting the window frame next to the glass. a beautiful finished room. In painting kitchens, you must paint the ceiling and each wall separately. In this picture, the lady is outlining the ceiling with a brush with a long handle, which eliminates the use of ladders. After going around the room in this fashion, she will then roll the undercoat on the ceiling with a 1/2-inch lamb's wool roller cover. In painting cabinets, as in painting doors, apply the paint quickly in all directions. In fact, any way to get the paint on the door. Then get a beautiful finish by laying the paint out in long vertical strokes. In painting a room with natural finish baseboards, the baseboard should be covered with masking tape because flecks of paint will get on the baseboard and will be difficult to clean off. If the baseboard is painted the same color as the wall, this is not necessary. After applying the masking tape, paint 5 or 6 inches above the tape. Then outline the edge of the doors and the windows, painting the edge of the frame as you outline them. Do this one wall at a time. The next step is to roll the paint on the wall, rolling as close to the windows and doors as possible. In trimming the windows, paint the corners first, then bend the brush at an angle and slide it down the window frame. This will paint the area next to the glass quickly and neatly. In painting the face of the window frame, apply the paint rapidly, painting any stroke, any manner. Then again, lay the paint out in long, smooth strokes. This will result in a beautiful finish. In cleaning the paintbrushes and the roller covers, first use a steel brush and squeeze the bristle. This will run the thinner through the heel and get the paint out of the bottom of the brush. Run the brushes through 3 rinses, shake the brush out, and put it in a cover, and it will be ready for your next painting job. The same with the roller cover. Put it through 3 or 4 cleaners, then spin the roller so that the nap stands out, and hang it up to dry. The simple equipment consists of the broom handle for the roller and for the brush, a 1/2-inch lamb's wool roller cover, 3/4-inch roller cover, the bucket, and the screen. Stand up and paint.
Wow, that was that was not what I expected. I expected it to be for little kids, painting inside. But I guess the interior maybe was a clue. But yeah, there you go. And it's interesting. Somebody commented like, "What? No masking tape?" Well, this is before I guess people were using masking tape. And the entire industry of masking tape for paint purposes existed. This is just like watching a film about garbage and watching people. They didn't have garbage bags. They used newspaper to wrap up the trash, or they used paper grocery bags, or whatever, or just put it raw in the trash can. That's kind of an interesting, different time. Excuse me. All right. So what do we got next? Don't want to show that next. It's what time is it? 1:30. Okay. All right, this is what we're going to do. So this next film is, it's a great film, part of a project that was related to this book, the Field Guide to Sponsored Films, which was released by the National Film Preservation Foundation and Library of Congress. It was done by Rick Prelinger was the main lead on it, but it was contributed to by lots of people, including myself. And one of the things that Library of Congress did is actually worked to try to find good copies of the films that were listed in the guide and put them online. And so this is one of them that we... I didn't help with this specific film, but I did help with the project. So this is Boy with a Knife. So there's a Library of Congress thing at the intro. So this is Boy with a Knife. Enjoy.
I'm telling you, the vice principal had a list that long. Flunking, lying, fighting, wrecking school You can wait until I've finished. Now, the next time the vice principal calls about that one, you'll have to go. After all, he's your son, not mine. The least you can do is
Pop, can I speak to you alone for a moment?
Don't interrupt. You're in enough trouble as it is. It's your mother's fault he's no good. Letting him run wild, never caring what he was doing while he was living with her.
She did a pretty good job raising me.
So it's my fault. Well, our son turned out all right. How do you explain that?
Hard to grow up. If a teenager has extra problems, emotional or social, it's even harder. Kids like this, not wanted by any other group or anyone else much, tend to hang out together. Kids like Joe Martin, he's hardly ever seen his mother sober. Or Fred Hammer, his father's in prison. Mike Kelly, he has to show off all the time, try to get attention. His parents are dead. He lives with his older sister. To her, he's just another mouth to feed in her large family. Harry Jackson gets too much spending money from his people. Money, never any of their time. And Jerry Phillips, rejected by his stepmother, let down by his father. He's the loneliest of the lot.
Now, cut it out, you kids. Cut it out!
Rowdy kids, troubled kids headed for trouble. Still a couple of years from real crime, but with destruction and violence their only outlet, they're on their way to it. Unless their outlook can be changed. In our city, many men and women are dedicated to changing that outlook. Some give their time and their money to support the work of many organizations and their skilled professional workers. Like Bud Williams, group work specialist with years of intensive training and experience. The schools give him names of potentially delinquent boys. His job is to help these youngsters satisfy their teenage need to belong, to get rid of some of their resentment against the world, and find their place in it. But what do you do first? You get acquainted with them. That's no cinch. Often it takes a lot of time. A lot of stops at their hangout. These kids haven't had much reason to trust grown-ups. Maybe after weeks of trying, you finally make some progress. The kids show that they notice you. And they've got their own ways to let you know that.
Oh, gee, I'm sorry, mister. I really am.
Skip it. Have it around.
Hey, guys, he's been around. A newsreel. Tell us about it, newsreel.
Yeah, the eyes and ears of the world. Where you been?
Just around, with fellas like you. With the badge, huh? No, I sponsor a couple of clubs over at the Neighborhood Youth Service.
Oh, big deal.
Name's Bud Williams. You ever belong to a club?
Yeah. They kicked me out. So what?
Well, if you had a club of your own, no one could kick you out. That old wreck over there can take you places. Swimming, fights, ball games, hikes. And there's a clubhouse. Pool tables, records, ping pong.
Got change for a 20, mister?
Oh, me?
Boy, look at all that moolah.
Give me that
Come on, let's
money.
have a beer. Let's
Give it to you,
yeah,
give me
fun
that.
tonight.
20 before I knock your block off.
Give me
that
Feel
20.
a beer tonight. Oh, let's get drunk. Hey!
Why don't you kids give that club idea a whirl?
I still say he's a juvie. Nah, he ain't no cop. Say, I heard about those clubs. Some guy told me they have a pretty good time at them sometimes.
Shut up.
Come on, I'm dying of thirst.
You discuss and evaluate the group with your supervisor. You take advantage of the experience of other group workers. You don't want to fail these kids. You've got to prove that you're one grown-up they can trust. That you mean it when you say to them, I like you, though I don't always like what you do. Get them to believe that, and maybe some of the anger will go out of them. The dangerous, seething hostility.
Hi, fellas. Candy bar, Joe.
Boy, something sure stinks around here.
Sure does stink. Must be that skunk again.
You guys like baseball? I've got tickets for Friday night.
Come on, man, let's jump over to Gordon Street and start a fight.
Yeah, it's too hot to fight. I can pick you up after school. We can have hot dogs and stuff at the game.
Somebody paid me. I'm shooting a buck.
They got a dime on it.
I got a quarter here.
There's 2 bits open.
I'll be around again.
Hey, you, Mike. Where's the dough for them potato chips? Get lost, slob. I paid for them an hour ago. What's all?
Yeah,
You want to
yeah,
take
yeah,
her
yeah,
stealing
yeah,
all the
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Shooting
yeah,
crap.
yeah, yeah,
Taking
yeah,
away all my good customers. All right, I'm going to call the police.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, go.
What'd I do?
We can work this out some
I'm
way.
sick and tired of this.
You get these kids on the books, they'll have a record for life.
All I want is a dime for them potato chips.
That's easy. Okay, Joe? Okay. I'll be seeing you, fellas.
Eventually, your patience pays off. They go with you to a playground. But they don't dare play baseball or anything else according to the rules. They have to clown around to cover up their fear of failure.
Think back. You could make a girl swim with a skirt, couldn't
I suppose you think
That's
you're so
all right,
good.
if you don't like... Oh, you punk.
All right, ditch the knife, Jerry.
Try and take it.
What for? You'd only have a bigger one tomorrow.
You're chicken.
Yeah?
Cool it, man, cool it. I still say you're chicken.
Look, the only way I want that knife is when you find out you don't need it.
You have to be careful how you handle this. You have to be honest and admit the kids did get out of line. but you try to work it so they can leave without losing face. The guys have been kicked out of playgrounds before, but they've never had an adult leave with them. You prove something. You're on their side. You're beginning to measure up in their eyes.
Man, we never even got to first base. Well, I guess we'll have to use the clubhouse for our next meeting.
What meeting?
The regular Friday meeting. Well, if you guys got any better idea.
Get this straight. I get in the front seat.
Get out of there.
They do keep that date the following Friday, and they give the clubhouse the once-over. At first, they're plenty wary, looking for a joker in the setup. If they like anything here, they'll never admit it. You know they might take a powder any second. And you wait, not pushing. And you know there's one thing here they might go for. You've started a club. In the months that follow, you get to know the boys pretty well. In many staff conferences, you work on their problems. And you're beginning to understand them better. In time, they give their club a name. A plenty sharp one, too. Giving it a name is a big step forward. Now they've accepted it. They're proud of it. They belong. But that doesn't mean that everything is sweetness and light.
What do you think you're doing?
Hey, it's still my turn. I'm not taking the rap till you shove my cue. You hit the cue ball, didn't you? You want to make something of it? All right, go ahead. Why don't you watch where you're going?
Hey, cut it out. Drop dead.
You gonna let Harry push you around like that?
Oh, shut up.
Oh, you're a chicken. Just like your old man.
Who says he's chicken?
I do. I got it straight from my sis.
Your sis. What does she know about it?
She and your old lady's always jawing it up, ain't they?
What does that prove?
It proves that my sis is right. That your old man is chicken. That's a lie.
Oh, yeah? Hit him, Mike. Come on, hit him. All right, take it easy. Hit him. Oh, what a fight. Hit him again, Mike. Come on, knock him down. He's a good fight a week. Come on, hit him.
All right, easy, Jerry, relax. If we carve each other up, pretty soon there won't be any more Regals left.
Who cares?
I swear you're getting to be more of a hoodlum every day. Just look at that shirt. Do you know how much money a shirt costs these days? This son of yours has been fighting again. Look at this shirt.
Can I tell you about it, Pop?
Look, he's proud of it.
Please, Pop.
Not now, Jerry. I'm tired. I had a
Mike
bad
Kelly
day.
said you didn't have the guts to stand up for yourself, so I took a poke at him. That was all right, wasn't
Poor
it?
Mike. You fought a boy who doesn't even have a father.
He didn't have any right to say that about you, did he, Pop?
Go to your room and get a decent shirt. This minute.
Did he, Pop? Did he?
Better put on a decent shirt, Jerry.
No father, no matter how much he wants peace in his family, can rest easily after getting a look like that from his son. He needs help. You listen. Your questions guide him. Having someone to talk to helps him to see his problem more clearly, to realize he must face up to it. Attendance at meetings has been pretty regular, and you've had the boys out in the station wagon on hikes and to the movies. But underneath it all, there's something more important. The kids are beginning to learn the feeling of friendship and trust toward each other and toward you, an adult. Sometimes the boys are able to talk out their anger and frustration instead of wrecking everything in sight. They take you into their plans that you're glad to listen to and go along with. They've finally gotten around to thinking of electing officers, such a customary procedure for a club. And that's what makes it important. It's customary.
Pop? Pop? They want me to run for Sergeant-at-Arms down at the Regals.
Good for you.
I've been thinking about that club of his.
I'll be late down at the plant.
And you think about it, too. He shouldn't be allowed to associate with that bunch of...
Not allowed? But you don't even know any of the guys.
See how he talks back to me? Those Regals were supposed to do him so much good, but it's perfectly obvious to me
We'll
that
have
they
to talk it over tonight.
Tonight? But, Pop, the election's today.
You heard what your father said? You stay away from that club until we make up our minds.
The knife. Always the knife. A poor substitute for understanding, for strength, for love.
All in favor of Mike Kelly for treasurer. Come on, you guys, that's me. Come on, Red, raise your hand. All in favor of Harry Jackson for treasurer. Hey, come on, man, that's me. Yeah, that takes care of it. You're in, kid. Well, this is a lousy frame-up.
Hang with it, Mike.
You hang with it. Where you been, punk? Just goofing off. Yeah? Well, you almost missed voting for yourself, stupid. All right. All those in favor of Jerry Phillips for Sergeant-at-Arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, you're it. Hey, wait just a darn minute. His old lady's gonna yank him out of the club. She told my sis. She's also gonna send him away to live with his grandma. That's a lie. Oh, yeah? I suppose your old man's gonna stop her. He will. I know it. That's a laugh.
Hold it, Jerry.
Don't mess up.
Hold it, son.
Keep out of it.
Take it easy, son. Are you all right, son?
Wow, he was really gonna let me have it.
This is serious, fellas.
Yeah, let's do something.
Let's go find him.
Go.
Stop it! Harold! Harold, call the police! He's going to...
Jerry, what are you doing? What are you doing? Stop it! Stop it! Jerry! Son, Where did you get that?
That's Jerry's equalizer, Mr. Phillips.
Oh, Jerry.
I'm not putting up with any of these goings-on another minute. That son of yours has got to go.
Not so fast, Mabel. First, I want to hear what brought this on.
She's sending me back to Grandma's.
You just bet I am.
Jerry's not going to be sent anyplace. He's staying right here.
We better go, fellas.
Yeah. So long, Jerry. Yeah, see you at the clubhouse, Jerry.
Well, I like that. Standing up for that hoodlum son of yours after what he's
Mabel.
done.
Mabel, don't you realize? It's not so much Jerry's fault.
Now you're blaming me?
Please. I'm blaming myself just as much. But from now on, Jerry, everybody in my family gets heard. Where are you going?
What can he say? How can he put it into words? That day on the playground, what was it Bug told him. The only way I want that knife is when you find out you don't need it. Jerry and his family weren't the only ones helped that day. All the boys had been affected. And you knew that there was hope in the future.
Juvenile delinquency is one of our biggest problems here in Chicago. Community fund agencies are doing something about it. They can do more with your help. They can do more about other problems, too, such as child care, clinic services, more help for the handicapped and the aged. These problems, on our doorstep, are the responsibility of all of us. They are our first responsibility. So let's give, and give generously, to Chicago's Community Fund. Your gift really counts.
So that was basically about contributing to the community chest, which was a community fund, or the blue feather, the red feather, and then what eventually became United Way in a lot of communities and nationally. Yeah, I'm sorry about the audio sync. That was weird. I'm not absolutely sure what was going on there. But that stepmother, man, she was a problem. What's funny is that actress actually shows up in another film I have called Fears of Children, where she plays a very understanding mother, and the opposite of what her character is. Speaking of mothers causing problems, this next one is pretty great, and I've held off from showing this for a while, but it's so good. So here's More Dangerous Than Dynamite.
Every year, thousands of persons are killed and millions of dollars in damage is done through pure carelessness in the home. Here are some of the commonest causes of fires and accidents. Yes, many of us do this on chilly mornings, but jumping out of an airplane is safer. Another thing, always shut the gas off at the pipe valve, too. Gas hose and hose connections often leak. Permanent connections are better. You've heard of the ostrich burying its head in the sand so it can't see danger. Fuse plugs are the safety valves of your electrical system. To place pennies behind them is to remove that safety factor. Fire is the certain result. Keep lamp cords in plain sight. Then you can see when they're worn out. Yes, it still occurs in some of our best families, and it's nearly always fatal. This is often as sure and as effective as the electric chair. Burn rubbish in an approved incinerator. Combustible dust mixed with air is highly explosive. Wrapped in paper, it can be burned safely. Have you one of these in your home? Open paint buckets, oil-soaked rags, just the dish for spontaneous combustion.
Most people know of the fire hazards of gasoline and other flammable fluids, but have not grasped the complete picture of the dangers involved. The woman using gasoline in her kitchen or elsewhere in the home with a false idea of economy does not fully realize the true high explosive character of a mixture of air and gasoline vapor. On the other hand, in dry cleaning establishments such as this, which have been licensed by the state, all work is under the supervision of men who are familiar with the properties of gasoline and experienced in fire prevention precautions. All garments to be cleaned are placed in one of these cylindrical metal washers. The gasoline or solvent is stored many feet underground in fireproof tanks. When needed, just the right amount, clean and filtered, is pumped into the washer. The housewife, however, keeps her whole supply unprotected beside her. She is subject to distractions by other domestic duties during the time she is dry cleaning, and others, even her children, are exposed to this unnecessary peril. Fire inspectors constantly check state-controlled dry cleaning plants to see that fire safeguards are in good working order. All machinery and metal parts are grounded to water pipes against vagrant currents and static electricity. Even interior metal parts are grounded with heavy copper wire. This fusible link melts at 160 degrees and closes the washer door. When this one melts, the weight drops, automatically opening a dump valve in the bottom of the washer. The solvent is instantly drained safely into the underground tanks, removing the danger. But what chance has the housewife without these safeguards? These overhead steam outlets are operated from an outside valve, filling the room with live steam to smother the fire. If an explosion occurs, these roof hatches open automatically to relieve the force. All lights are controlled by outside switches to avoid the danger from an electric arc. Electric lights are under vapor-proof globes. Fire extinguishers are plainly marked with the date of last filling. Again, the fusible link coupling is brought into use, this time to hold fireproof doors open against gravity. A pull on this valve releases steam into the washer room. But where are the steam valves here? Heavy vapors are drawn through the roof by an air duct. However, fire shuts this draft off. Here, fresh air is admitted to help carry off the vapors. Asbestos blankets placed outside each building provide protection for the workers. In this dry tumbler, suction fans withdraw the solvent vapors and expel them safely. Should the improbable happen, despite these precautions, the explosion would only force the hatches open against a valve lever, and presto, the tumbler is flooded with fire-smothering steam. But still no protecting steam for the housewife. Fires are extremely rare in state-supervised cleaning plants. However, should one occur, here's how these safeguards work. All doors close automatically. Live steam, deadliest foe of fire. Surrounded by dangers, the room slowly filling with flammable vapor, which even a tiny spark will explode. Fire on the stove. Flames under the water heater. Even if she does her cleaning outdoors, there is still the greatest danger of all, the invisible menace of static electricity. Don't run. That fans the blaze. That's it. Wrap her up. Wait, not over her head. She'll inhale the flames. Another run for the fire department. Each year answering thousands of such calls. Every day, ambulances pick up victims of gasoline fires. What grim message awaits behind the panels of this silent door? Even doctors, all too familiar with pain and suffering, are touched by the needlessness of such a scene as this. But what of the other victims of this useless tragedy? The anxious father, the bewildered children, motherless perhaps. No, fortunately, not in this case, but their pretty mother, withered and scarred for life.
What, may I ask, is a dear little cupcake like... My dear child, we haven't had school or books in ages.
No school? Really?
Why don't you get rid of that school book? You can drop them in here.
It'll get all burned up in there.
Well, of course it will, dear child. And so it should. Books tamper with man's basic, natural ignorance. Now, what could be worse than that?
But I can't burn this book. It's school property.
Nonsense! Apple sugar. You just need to get into the mood.
Books are not where it's at, teaching you how to spell cat. I know you'd rather play, so why don't you throw all your books away? Books are made for burning, the fire is already yearning to put an end to any learning.
1, 3, 5, 9, throw them in, the fire's right.
Put the books in the fire, see the flames growing higher. Burning books is our heart's desire.
2, 4, 6, 8, time to incinerate.
Books will not make you wise, and reading's bad for your eyes. I am sure you agree, so why don't you give all your books to me? Books are made for burning, fire is already yearning to put an end to any learning.
This one here is very good about a man named Robin Hood.
Put the books in the fire, see the flames growing higher. Burning books is our heart's desire.
Though I never liked Tom Sawyer, I won't be a book destroyer.
Books can only confuse, teaching you things you can't use. You should listen to me. Burning your books will set your mind free.
Books are made for burning, fire is already yearning to put an end to any learning. Put the books in the fire, see the flames growing higher. Burning books is our heart's desire.
it was a stretch to show More Dangerous Than Dynamite and then show Books Are for Burning, especially because Shake Hands with Danger actually has a segment that talks about the dangers of cleaning with gasoline, which is what More Dangerous Than Dynamite is about. But I had just shown the Shake Hands with Danger segment yesterday, was it? Yeah. Or day before. And I hadn't shown this recently, and I found the full version of it versus the cut down version that I had made and accidentally had shown before. But so More Dangerous Than Dynamite, it's kind of important to AV Geeks because very early on in my life, I was either in the 7th or 8th grade, I saw this thing. I used to watch Saturday Night Live all the time, and during the summer they would sometimes run reruns, or sometimes they would run different programming. And so they ran this thing called Twilight Theater, which was a bunch of skits that were Steve Martin was in, which I was a big fan of Steve Martin, as was everybody else. But in one episode I saw many things that changed my life, that warped my brain. One of them was Pee Wee Herman. There was a Pee Wee Herman bit. One was Quasi at the Quackadero, a little segment of this animated cartoon, which I eventually found the animator, who she actually went to school in Raleigh, in kind of high school, pre-college. And then the Devo Beautiful World video, which is a wonderful video, one of my favorites, that's filled with stock footage, including shots from More Dangerous Than Dynamite. The scene where the woman is running and she's on fire, that animated fire that some of you guys wanted more realistic fire, I guess, or you wanted her to actually be on fire. But that, and then there's a scene where a car's being blown up. There's some segments in there that are in this, and there's also in another film called Fallout. Anyways, that was my first little foray into thinking about ironic use of stock footage, and that definitely warped my brain at night of entertainment, of which I am still maybe positively pursuing. And I actually found the person who made the video, or helped edit it. It was Chuck Statler, and I've been trying to get him to come on live so we can interview him, but he doesn't want to do a live interview. So I'm going to try to figure out a way to do it. It might be pre-recorded, and then yeah. Anyways, wonderful filmmaker who did a lot of music videos early on, Devo and some other bands. But anyways, so that watching More Dangerous Than Dynamite definitely, it's something that I hold dear. And I don't have a copy of the film. I've been looking for a copy of the film. This copy I scanned for a fellow collector who's based in Houston. But anyways, thanks everybody for tuning in today. Tomorrow I might not be in the archive. I might be somewhere else. But we'll see. We'll see how that works out. But if you like what you saw, you can buy some coffee at ko-fi.com/avgeeks. You can also go to avgeeks.com and buy DVDs and watch other things we did. You can hit the like button, the thumbs up button, the subscribe button, the share button, the button, all those things. Anyways, I will see you tomorrow. It probably will be pre-recorded because I'm going to be doing some work in another place. But anyways, more details on that later. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and I will see you soon.